about Nancy Guthrie. There's been a lot of, I guess, updates. I don't know if it's really been updates, but the FBI I've been seeing all day, there's been updates, a new letter, blah, 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 all this. So we're going to recap this case. So follow along. We might seem repetitive, but we're going to figure out new information. All these channels and YouTubers and TMZ and updating information are given the same thing. So we're going to slither our way through it and see what we can gather.
Investigators say they are aware of a new message regarding Nancy Guthrie. It is day 6 since her disappearance. The FBI just putting out a statement moments ago. It reads in part, the FBI and Pima County Sheriff's Department are aware of a new message regarding Nancy Guthrie. Investigators, they say, are actively inspecting the information provided in the message for its authenticity. As that was happening, and as we give you this live look there in Arizona, our Brian Enton was reporting that all of a sudden, investigators sort of closed off the scene there, moved reporters back. Brian's back with us before the cameras tonight. Brian, there's a lot of activity out there in the last 30 minutes or so. What can you tell us as it's 6 o'clock here on the East Coast, 4 o'clock where you are out there this evening?
Yeah, Blake, something changed significantly here in the last 30 minutes because we have been moved back at least a block from where Nancy Guthrie's house is. Let me show you. You can see these sheriff's deputies have blocked off the road, and about a half a block beyond them is where Nancy's house is. And they came in very quickly. And let me tell you, I mean, there was a lot of media down there. There's probably 300 people down there. And they came in, they said, everybody's got to get out now. Pack up your stuff. Everybody has got to leave now. And I said, well, what's going on? And they said, it's for investigative reasons. Everybody's got to leave. So everybody starts frantically trying to pack up. And while we're packing up, I saw several FBI teams coming in, and it looked like their evidence, like response unit, pickup trucks, a van. The windows were really tinted, but I kind of leaned in as they were trying to move me out of the way, and I could see the FBI logos on their shirts, and then they pulled into Nancy Guthrie's driveway. So clearly there is something new happening. There's something new that they want to look at the house. And it's so significant that not only have they roped off the house, which we've seen them do twice now, but they have closed off the entire block. And the timing, as you just mentioned, is interesting because this is around the same exact time that we found out about this second communication. There is a second note that has been sent to a Tucson TV station related to Nancy Guthrie.
Yeah, and Brian, you know this from covering stories for years. I know it as well. When you show up to a scene, oftentimes law enforcement will tell you, go here, go there, and you do it immediately, obviously. But that happens sort of day of or hour of or moment of. This is different in that it's 6 days after the fact, but I guess the change here is this note, and it makes you wonder, it makes you believe, I guess I should say, that they are taking this new note incredibly seriously.
Yes, and is there something in the note that caused them to need to come back here and you know, make it a crime scene again and look around again? Remember,
I wish they tell us what's in the notes. It's been like 4 ransom notes, most of them fake. This one, I guess that TMZ reported is more real because I guess they had more details, like, oh, we left the Apple Watch in the top right cabinet in the kitchen or something, like, and they said certain details that only, I guess, a member of the family or the kidnapper would know.
Remember, the last note had 2 deadlines, one for yesterday, 5 p.m., the other for Monday, and we were told, as of yesterday, there was no more communication. Well, that has apparently now changed if this new note is from the same person. And remember that Savannah Guthrie and her family said that they wanted proof of life. They wanted something more before they made. It's ultimately their decision about whether they're going to pay this ransom. We don't know the dollar amount. The FBI won't tell us what the dollar amount is, but they are the ones who have to make the decision, the FBI has said. And they, in their video, said they wanted more proof. Is this new note perhaps the proof that they've been waiting for?
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation.
They didn't really tell us much. See what the comments say. I like reading the comments. God, please, Brian, this is an excellent job of reporting. So tired of Chris Cuomo screaming at me at the end. He did a little pop-up. I heard Megyn
Ashley
Kelly talking about
Banfield,
something.
who hosts her own podcast called Drop Dead Serious, is breaking exclusives on this case like nobody's business. And yesterday, she had quite a doozy. I'm going to bring her on. She's going to explain what she learned, but she reported exclusively that they actually do have a potential suspect in the case, and the identity is rather shocking. I'm going to bring her in now. Ashley Banfield, thank you so much for joining us. So tell us what you say, very reliable law enforcement source told you about a possible suspect in the case.
Sure. So after almost 4 decades in this business, I've collected a few friends at the FBI and in local law enforcement all over the country. And the source that I have is impeccable. And he said that...
I would just add some little disclaimer. She said the source she has is impeccable. But for some reason, her and Nancy Grace have been given details, like there's a forced entry, cameras been smashed and stuff like that. And the sheriff department in Tucson has been like, nah, I don't know where y'all got that from. We ain't say that. Well, like, it's almost like they're denying it, but they got like a close source. But the police have, and the FBI like, no, we don't know what they're talking about. If it did happen, we wouldn't tell you.
Not only were the cameras smashed, plural cameras smashed, so that the suspect likely knew about the locations of them, but that the car belonging to the sister of Savannah Guthrie, Annie Guthrie, was towed, impounded, and taken into evidence. And this is the wording. It's very important. The wording is very important. He said they now believe the son-in-law may be the prime suspect. Those are the words. Son-in-law may be the prime suspect at this.
That's exactly what I thought. The son-in-law, the music artist, he got a band. They just came out with a new single, like our new album. He was the last one to drop her off after the family get together at her daughter's house at 9:50 something. I don't even think she made it in the house. I think I know people just I don't know. I hope for the best. But I think this 84-year-old woman is dead somewhere in the Arizona desert, and the son-in-law sent the whole ransom thing just to throw the police off his tail.
Point. And I'm very mindful. I covered the Elizabeth Smart case. I was out in Salt Lake City for 5 weeks while Elizabeth Smart had vanished. And I recall specifically a lot of language saying Ed Smart
What's up?
is likely the prime suspect here. And so you got to be really mindful that, as you know, Megan, you're a lawyer. Police investigations start in the middle of the circle and they go out in concentric circles in terms of investigating family members, right? Mm-hmm. You start in the middle of the family, you investigate out from there. Then you go to contractors and friends and workers and everybody else who's had some contact. And then there's the randoms. So it is not surprising that someone in the family is being looked at. That language to me was pretty strident, though.
It's
I think so
surprising
too.
to me because there was forced entry. And from the beginning, I thought, well, they must have ruled out the family pretty quickly if this is a case of forced entry, because the family wouldn't need to do that. The family would presumably have a key, and if they didn't have a key and they wanted to get in, they'd just knock on the door and Nancy Guthrie would open it.
So this is super interesting. And I had a long conversation with my former colleague, Brian Enton, about this, because Brian identified blood drops at the front door.
Yeah.
However, my source says the back one. That's what my source said. I had Megan, half-hour conversation 2 days ago.
I watched it.
The sheriff, yeah. And I specifically said, so are you telling me, when you said that she did not walk out of that house on her own, I said, are you telling me that she might have been carried out of that house? And I used the word over the threshold of the front door. And he said, I didn't say front door. But he didn't say no carried.
So if let's say she catches an Uber to her daughter's house, have fun. Between 9:48, 9:58, she gets dropped back off by, Tomas, her son-in-law. The garage opens. You don't go to the front door, it's closer, whatever, right? The garage opens. Then it closes. Then around 1 something, he returns. Let's just say it was 1:40. By 2:40, he was out of there. It was like 45 minutes this all happened. So if that's the son, he had the ring cam, but only the family would know that they ain't got the subscription. Like anybody else would be like, oh, that ring cam catch me, I'm in trouble. Oh, man. it's 1 o'clock in the morning, almost 2. Oh, I'm not going up there. So if he went and knocked on the door or opened it knowing that the Ring wasn't going to record him or put it in some privacy mode or something, and the Ring people that they sent it to couldn't get any footage off of it, but it's still alerting. It still sends the alert to your phone like somebody's here. Or I guess he would have had to contact her, or maybe he did have a key. But how would it be blood there unless he like knocked on the door or something? Hey, come out for a second. And then she come out and he like hit her, pow, and then there's blood on the front door. But then he go out the back door for some reason. And that's why they had the dog searching the desert and stuff. It'd be hard to find somebody's body in that desert, especially a little old lady.
But when he said, I didn't say no to the front door, and then, you know, the next day I'm getting information about the back door, it's pretty safe to say, well, that makes perfect sense. However, why is there blood at the front door? And Brian Enton said he couldn't find the trail continuing past to the walkway that would take you to the driveway. Now it is you know, gravel, a little harder maybe to see any blood, but not impossible. So I'm trying to go.
But couldn't they have gotten her in the car, Ashley? I mean, like, I'm picturing a scenario where couldn't all those facts be consistent with they came in through the back door, then they got her, then they brought her out the front door after injuring her.
Could.
Then the blood trail continued just to the driveway.
Well, it didn't.
Where they then put her in a car.
That's
it
the problem.
it ended well prior to the driveway?
Yeah, the blood trail is just at the front door on those tiles. Then the gravel starts right away, and it's a walkway to the driveway, and it's not close. I mean, it's a bit of a ways. Nancy Guthrie can't walk 50 yards, pardon me. Nancy Guthrie can't walk 50 yards on her own, so she would need assistance. And if you're bleeding and you've been in a you know, some sort of a melee, that would be even less. So I was going through this.
Which is crazy for this lady to live in that big ass house in the Catalina Foothills that can't walk 50 yards by herself with nobody else there. That is crazy of her daughter. I know her daughter Savannah gonna be replaying everything in her head. I should have did this. Why didn't I do that? She asked me for this. I should have did that.
Scenarios in my mind. Okay. Maybe the front door camera is smashed and the doorbell is rung to get Mrs. Guthrie downstairs, because that would be difficult in the middle of the night. It would get her down those stairs. So the confrontation might happen at the front door, right there at the tiles. There's a struggle. And then because the car is not parked right out front where all that could be visible potentially, maybe the car is around the back, and that's why they go out the back door. And because
is that a
you're now
possibility?
struggling, I have no idea.
Could a car be
I'm
parked in the
surmising.
back?
I don't know, because I've been trying to see with drone video whether the car could get out into a darker spot or maybe out of camera view because the smashing has to happen. But I was told that the cameras were smashed. And
it's dark as hell.
So if there's a camera in the back, camera in the front, smashed. And then, of course, Brian Enton noticed it and said, asked the sheriff, did you take them? Or do you think the guy or the suspect took them? And the sheriff had a funny answer. He said, yes, I noticed that too. We're looking into it.
Yes. So what he saw, Brian Enton saw, was like the remnants of a Nest camera, not even the Nest camera, right? Like it was clear to him that they had been removed, which is not the same thing as destroyed. The sheriff is saying that they were destroyed right before we got to them. So he made it sound.
And I feel like if you say like they were removed nicely, there's no, it's like somebody had a key. Then the brother gonna be like, shit, it's me, and like go do something or destroy some evidence. Like we're gonna watch something else on the brother I seen before that's crazy. Somebody like put his whole background up there, and it's crazy. I'm gonna watch that.
Sound like they were destroyed by the perpetrator here, by the bad guy.
Sheriff didn't say on the news conference that the cameras were destroyed.
Yeah, he didn't say that.
Brian Enton shot that video and asked, the cameras are missing. Did law enforcement take them, or did the perpetrator take them? And the response from the sheriff was, yes, we noticed that too. We're looking into it. And so, look, I can tell you, you know this, Pima County, there's not a lot of crime there. I'm trying to think of the last major thing that happened. I think it was Gabby Gifford's being shot there, 15 years ago, 20 years ago? And so I think he's working in real time, you know, and trying to protect his investigation, keep the integrity, and answer real questions he wasn't expecting maybe, and couching, you know, his verbiage as best he can. But he didn't say, oh, we don't know that we took the cameras, or no, there never was a camera there. He said, yes, we noticed that too, and we're investigating that. We've got them.
It's your reporting that has added that they were destroyed.
But and
she's trying to take credit for that. And Nancy Grace also said it was a forced entry, and the sheriff said, no, we don't know where you got that from. And if it was, we wouldn't tell you.
Multiple. I don't know the location of the other one. My guessing, and it's just me, would be back door. Yeah. But
That's where you put the Nest camera.
My source also said, and this is musings, not evidence or information. Who takes an 84-year-old woman who can't walk well on her own? It is a burden. It is a troublesome endeavor. It makes you more susceptible to being caught. You now have a problem on your hands. What are you going to do with this person without anybody seeing it? And it stands to reason. It's very unusual for some random burglar to take the person if something happens.
It's not a random.
She gonna have to piss every half an hour on a road trip. Like, everybody gonna be looking. If somebody see any old lady with a cane, you're gonna be like, wait, who that? That's Nancy? Hold on. Like, you caught. Any gas station you stop at to get gas, they're gonna be like, wait, hey, Nancy.
No, I agree. So it's either somebody who's kidnapping her and wants money for a ransom, or is kidnapping her as a revenge because they dislike her, or maybe Savannah or another family member, or it could have been a
Personal
murder.
musings again.
And a murder
source.
that they were then removing the body from the crime scene.
That's even worse because, again, now it's on your hands to get rid of the body, and the evidence is now in your car and all the rest. It's not that it hasn't happened. It has. It's more likely that a random person would leave that body in the house and get a clean getaway with no DNA evidence in the car, if that's possible. But the other random musings was that something like this, and again, these are the random musings, this is not evidence. This kind of a crime typically requires a benefit. And like you mentioned, the ransom notes, musings are baloney. That, you don't email a ransom note to TMZ or a local, station. It's not normal. It's not usual. And that time frame as well. Ransom notes usually come pretty quickly. This was 72 hours later. So, and look, I can't wait for that investigation to yield some idiot that thought that they were going to get some Bitcoin out of a tragic situation. It makes me, they're just festering parasites.
People don't realize, when I said it could have been a meth head that followed her home, or knew who she was, or seen her at the grocery store, Fry's or something, Albertsons over here, or Tucson. It could easily be. Tucson is like the meth capital. It's a lovely town, but it's a college town and like senior town all in one, depending on what side you go to. There's meth addicts all over the place. She like in the foothills, and they found this little old lady living by herself, or maybe somebody, a Uber driver, Uber Eats delivered her some food or something. Like, she lived here by herself, or this person was scoping her out. Whoever did this knew her routine. It's somebody local to that area. This ain't a random burglary or something. Somebody that she knew, that she saw before, did this to her.
It's when they do this.
I mean, we still don't know, though, whether Savannah Guthrie has received a ransom demand or law enforcement has, because they've been very cagey about the ransom question. The first day he was asked, which was Monday, Sheriff Nanos said, no, I haven't heard anything like that. And he was kind of forthcoming. And then, as you know, yesterday, Tuesday, he was much more tight-lipped. He wasn't as forthcoming with answers. And the question of whether a ransom note had been introduced seemed more ambiguous on day 2 than it did on day 1.
It's funny. I'm looking back at my notes from my conversation. I said, has there been and this was the Monday, as you said, has there been any demand for ransom? And he said, we don't know. He said to me, we don't know. Those were the words. However, this came out yesterday. You probably saw it. This was the QR code and the statement from Chris Nanos, the sheriff, saying, we are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes, parentheses S, right? Note, parentheses S, regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. We're taking all tips and leads very seriously. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI. We encourage anybody to use this QR code. So I think, and also our friend Harvey Levin at TMZ broke it yesterday. They got the email yesterday. Yeah. So I don't think Harvey had it on Monday, and I would highly doubt that the local TV station had it Monday and didn't report it till Tuesday.
All right, but that's sort of a red herring, we think, on the side. But the news about about Savannah's brother-in-law is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I have to be honest. A lot of people initially thought, should we be looking at the family? Because that's
the way it works.
90% of the time, exactly. That's who it is. Usually, crime is not committed by some random person coming into a home and kidnapping an 84-year-old. Usually, it's a tragedy that somebody
knows where
terrible...
both cameras are.
This can't be a Lindenberg baby, not in 2026 with all this face recognition and AI and satellites in the sky. Somebody knew. Maybe it was maybe his bandmates, the son-in-law bandmates did something or whatever. I don't know. They should have interviewed. I'm surprised there hasn't been an interview. He must have denied it, or at least somebody said we tried to interview him and they denied us or something.
Yeah, exactly. Knows where both cameras are, front and back, and possibly manages to get her to open the door, or somehow maybe has a relationship with her. But of course, the thought of Savannah's not on the table. She was in New York. She had to fly out there after this all happened. The sister, I mean, like, it just seems beyond
Can I ask you a
possibility
question?
that the sister had something to do with it. But now we're talking about the sister's husband. Yeah, you go.
Spidey senses, Megan, with all your experience in being a lawyer and being in the media, do you think that they would seize the vehicle of Savannah Guthrie's sister and impound it, tow it, not ask for it, come in, we want to take a look, tow it, impound it? The words that were used are, it is in evidence. If they didn't have a little stronger feeling about this, because that sends a massive message early in the investigation. If you are taking the daughter of the victim's car, that was
well, that might have been the car that he dropped her off in last, and doing that. It don't matter if they take it. He should be like, yeah, I understand. I'm the son-in-law. Like, classic murder mystery. The son-in-law did it. I'm the last one to seen her. I get it, and I'm completely open to the police and any investigation they want to do. That's the only answer he should give.
And a famous daughter's sister. That was another thing that I'm just putting a lot of pieces together.
No, you're right. And the other thing the audience should know, they probably already do know, is you're not some whack reporter.
Right.
Like, this is your beat. You've been covering crime for 20 years. You're very solid. Your reporting standards.
38, but who's counting? 38 years this year.
Reporting for many, many years. But like, your reporting standards are very high. So you understand very well the gravity of reporting something like this. This is not just some slapdash operation. And you trust this source. Told you right now he's the prime.
High level.
Yeah.
High level.
Okay. So no, you're right. They wouldn't. And when was it that they seized the car?
Why was it they seized the car?
When?
I don't know the answer to that, but I do know that the FBI, according to Brian Enton, was over at Annie Guthrie's house yesterday for several hours.
Internet.
Let's see what the comments say. Yeah, the crime does. I see somebody over there on YouTube. Crime does catch up with the times, but that's usually like the method of committing the crime. Like wire fraud, bank fraud, it gets more. You got Bitcoin and crypto, and they could hide stuff and different wallets and all this. The murder, like especially, or kidnapping, like that spontaneous, like I didn't think it through. So either you think this was the spare the moment thing, or this person was systematic and they didn't leave nothing behind, no nothing, and it was just they planned this, and that, and then it's like, for what reason? I'm gonna show y'all something too. Hold on. Let me just see something. See what these comments say. Savannah makes over $5 million a year and can't afford to get her mom a security system after repeatedly having her mom on national television telling everyone where she lived. Did she really do that? It would have helped. It could have worked. You know, it's something about her brother. I gotta find this. Somebody did like his whole background and shit. If I could find that. I'm gonna find it. Let me just see. Let's just watch this one first. Hold on.
Whoever, so we can move forward. But first, we have to know that you have.
Thank you for having me, Garrett.
Ronnie, first I just want to get your take about what makes this case unique in your opinion and your expertise. I mean, we've seen a lot of people talking about on social media about all the attention this case is getting. What stands out to you about why this case is so unusual?
When you look at the total,
Yeah, you got some mom. He said even my mom wanted to live alone. You would. You got some mom. My mom be like, if I don't care, I ain't going to no home. If I get 84, it's time for me to go to heaven. If before somebody wiping my ass and doing blah blah. But she could at least have a home health aide or something in there, motherfucker.
totality and the overall dynamics of what's taken place from the initial possible kidnapping, there's been there has been a lack of communication with the so-called kidnappers. Uh, Typically and oftentimes in situations and circumstances like this, especially when you were talking about money or currency being involved as far as some ransom, there's usually going to have very detailed or strict demands. I want the money delivered by this date, by this time, at this location, and so on and so forth. If that demand has not been met in that particular amount of time or negotiation efforts are taking place, you usually get a continuing or a furtherance for law enforcement to try to work on obtaining and acquiring more information. But it seems like from what we understand from the onset of the mom's disappearance, there hasn't been any more communication other than the pleas from the family asking for them to give or provide more input as to what they need to help locate their mom and bring her home safely.
I thought the responses from the family was weird too. I'm like, damn, it's like heartless, or I don't know. It's like, but then I just like, I kind of just didn't think about it because I'm like, it can't be all of them. It ain't the sister, the son-in-law, the brother, and Savannah like got in to kill a mom. But so they all seem kind of like, besides the sister, they all seem kind of like out of it or not how we'd expect, I guess. Maybe because movies, like, oh, and they crying, they overly acting. But who knows how you would feel, especially if you like, maybe my mom's still alive. Be getting ransom notes like, okay, it ain't like they found the body and she's dead and now they're crying and like it ain't hit them yet almost. That's how I see it. I don't know.
When it comes to a ransom note like that, what would law enforcement be looking for in it that might help give them some sort of clues as to what's going on, as to who might be involved? Are there things that they could look for to try to build up some sort of information about a suspect or person of interest in this?
Absolutely. One of the first things we want to look at is knowledge verification. How knowledgeable are you about the facts and the circumstances? This is one reason why law enforcement doesn't put a lot of information out into the general public all the time. You don't want to show your hand initially. If you're dealing with someone that actually is involved with the circumstances, they're going to have knowledge of this individual, what they were last wearing, what they're currently wearing. They know the layout of the home. They have information that can substantiate what the demands are that they're asking for.
Hold on, we're about to watch this
even
about
their
the brother.
communication behavior. How aggressive are they? How passive are they? What is their motivation behind this? These efforts come throughout the communicating with them, whether it's via phone, via internet, or whatever the method of transmission will be. But those are probably two of the biggest things that will help in the law enforcement communication, as well as tracing phone calls if they have the opportunity to communicate with them via phone and keep them on the phone for a substantial amount of times to be able to track a location or triangulate.
Let me see.
We have seen major search efforts. We're showing some of that video in the area now. I mean, TMZ reporting today, though, that some more details from the ransom note saying, essentially they don't necessarily believe she might be in the Tucson area, that it may be, somewhere else in the kind of southwestern United States or even northern Mexico. How does something like that, when time is of the essence in a search like this, make things more difficult? Kind of having to
find that video.
To really widen the scope of that search.
Situation, we have an 84-year-old woman who is in need of medication, and when she doesn't have that medication, depending on what she's actually taking and it helps her in her health, time is.
No, I know where we're going. That's that dude name is Jumpsuit Pablo. Oh, he put out another one. Oh, hold on. Let me put that out there. I ain't watched that one, but this is the one.
Guys, I'm back already with another crazy update. Now, we know there was an arrest made due to the ransom note that was a hoax and a fraud, someone just trying to capitalize on this horrific moment and take advantage of this family, right? So who is this person that was arrested for this?
Hold on, he put out another one. That's not even it. We jumping ahead. Hold on. I want to. This is it right here.
Let me show you.
That's her brother-in-law right there, Tomas. I don't know why the news ain't showing him.
Things up about him. What I found, it's a little concerning.
Just watch.
Let me show you.
5 minutes. Shout out to Jumpsuit Pablo. I was like, what? But they took his car already. He's the last one to drop off the lady.
Allegedly the #1 suspect or person of interest in this case, and reportedly the last person to see Nancy Guthrie alive is her son-in-law, Tommaso Cioni. This is because he was the person who dropped her off at her home and therefore the last to see her. And then just a little while later, this kidnapping happened. Obviously, I can't say that means he's the guy, he's the one who did it, blah, blah. But I did look into him a good bit, and I found some things that no one else reporting about this because everyone's talking about how he's the #1 suspect. But no one seems to have looked into him and his background at all. And so I did. And, well, I'm not going to frame it in any way for you. Let me just share what I found, and you make your decision about the guy. By the way, quick update. As we speak, as this video is getting made at 6:58 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, police are crawling all over the house, resetting up crime scene tape, and they actually just had officers who are members of the ICAC unit leave this man's house. ICAC stands for Internet Crimes Against Children.
Motive.
Interesting. And I'm going to get into some theories about that after this. But let's talk about Tommaso Cioni.
I know I was mute.
He was in a band called Early Black. And I couldn't help but notice they have an album out. And do you want to know the name of that album? It is Life, Love, Love, Murder. That's the name of the album. And he is the vocalist of this band. Do you want to see the album cover artwork?
Yes, we do.
That they chose. I'll show it to you now. Here it is. Boom. I saw this. This is just my opinion. Again, it's a snake devouring a rodent. And it seems to be eating it and dragging it across. My mind just naturally went back.
And if you see him going mute, that's him cutting his video and like he's mute and blurting things out or bleeping things out.
Back to Banfield saying the blood trail stopped at the gravel where she would have been dragged across. I don't know. I mean, that might be a stretch, but let's get into the lyrics of some of these songs they've put out. Resisting. The future is hollow. The present will follow. Time is up. Given too many chances. This is your life. This is your time to walk the straight line. Every time I see you, I won't make the mistake that I run into every time I'm afraid. And every time I hear you, I won't forget what you said, that I would die at your hands instead. Some interesting lyrics that we could look into there. And this, it doesn't
Well, they singing it. He wouldn't say it like that. He singing the lyrics in the band.
Up there. I mean, there's countless songs. I mean, this is a band, countless and years worth of songs and lyrics to look into. And I mean, none of them sound very good. But let's get into the fact that the ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children Unit, they call it ICAC, just left. Moments ago, just left this man's house. Why would the ICAC unit that deals with internet crimes against children be leaving his house? Now, again, I'm just pointing things out.
Oh.
He is married to the sister of Savannah Guthrie, which is Annie Guthrie. And they do. And so I guess my first thought, again, total assumption, did something awful happen?
Did he
with
get
the
caught?
child?
And I was just watching Dylan Redwine. His father killed him, the little boy, after he found like crazy pictures of his dad on. I'm like, so maybe the grandma seen something of the son-in-law and then was saying something about it, or are we going to talk about it later, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, no. But then I'm like, I don't think he would have got away with it that clean if he was like spur of the moment type stuff.
And did somehow that get conveyed to Nancy, the grandmother of the child?
Kids confide in their grandma.
And so I don't know, but there's things to piece together here, and things just are they're getting fishy.
I thought this was weird as shit.
Something isn't right here. But anyways, I'm going to stay on this case. There's your update. There's some things I dug up about him. Let me know what you think
Hold
about
on.
it.
So he did some more since I seen that one. Oh, we're going to watch both of these.
For this fake ransom note earlier today. His name is Derek Kalela. And there's some pretty, this stuff just gets deeper and deeper. Here's a photo of him. This is a still shot that I took from one of his YouTube videos.